yes, I have this desire, and that desire comes from the divine. It comes from the divine. And why do I want it? Okay, it's because I feel like I'm missing something sometimes, or you need a place to live. Okay,
Right.
like we need a place to live. So that's where that surrender comes in again. You have to get right in yourself. Okay, at least for me, I have to get right in myself and align with the truth that I experienced, that all things come from source, from this divine source, this self. And it knows that I'm desiring this, and it will bring it. I'm thinking of a healing that I gave to somebody 2 years ago. Kind of a coincidence brought us together, and she helped me with something, and then she wanted to come and have a healing. So I gave her a healing, and in the healing, we were working on the level of what's called divine will, which is where I completely surrender my agency in a way,
Yeah.
my will, like what I want, my agenda. That's a better, not
Yeah.
agency, agenda. And I just had my hand on the spot in her body that governed her sense of self. You have a chakra in your body that governs your sense of self, who you are, who you are in this world. And when it's really healthy, you feel full and complete and whole, and that there's nothing missing. So I had my hand on her chakra, and when I'm talking about like it's really only the divine that heals. So from the level of Caprina, that doesn't bring all the healing. It's like, how can she access it? This beautiful energy of a guide came through my arm, through my hand like a lightning bolt, and like shot into her third chakra. I've never seen that happen before. I've seen other weird things happen before, but this was beyond me completely. I was in surrender. I was surrendered to the divine, and some divine being on another level of consciousness helped her access that light inside of her. And she kind of levitated off the table, and we were both lifted into that bliss again. It just kind of happened. And I don't know what happened other than that. But something in her got awakened. Something in her it was like a vibration had to match something in her. I don't know what that was. And it woke her up and changed her life.
You know,
Yeah.
for me, what I guess is hard is what you said about giving up your own agendas and giving and your own thoughts and not thinking and just being. For me, I'm a thinker. Like I'm always my head my mind is always going. Even now, like in doing these shows, like I think people think that I'm just doing this show and like it's all natural, but in my head I'm producing, right? So I'm always thinking. How can people like get into that relaxed state that you just talked about of giving up your own desire, giving up your own thoughts and just being? Like, how can people do that?
It's a great question. It's not exactly, so I want to make sure I'm communicating this correctly.
Yeah.
I'm not giving up, I'm not turning my mind off, and I'm not giving up agency. It was more agenda. Like whatever is the highest, whatever is the divine will, which is always the highest thing. It's always the best thing. Even if my small personal self thinks it's the worst thing.
Right.
I
Right.
really want only what that higher part of me, that higher consciousness that is me, wants. And I know I can't access it with by thinking about it, or from a place of what my human desire wants.
Yeah.
That the divine has its own timing. And so that's part of the training at the Barbara Brennan School, actually, is how do you let go, let God? Well, you work
How
on
do
your
you let
authority
go and let
issues.
God? Yeah.
You
That's
work on
the
authority issues.
yeah.
God is the biggest authority, and all of us have had negative experiences with authority.
Yeah.
Parents, teachers, the society. And so, like at the Barbara Brennan School, we work on, for a whole year, we work on authority issues. We focus on them to help you be able to learn how to kind of soften and surrender. That also, so people who are like really strong thinkers and want to
Yeah.
understand and have a really strong critical mind. So I'm going to speak, I'm not going to read you, but I'm going to speak from
Yeah.
my me, so that I don't want to read you publicly.
Oh no, it's
So
fine. It's
like,
fine either way.
so well, what you do is you run more energy through your chakras in the top of your head. You've got one here and one here and one here. And so there's a lot of mental clarity and a lot of vision and ability to create that vision,
Yeah.
and a lot of brilliant mind. I mean, I remember when I met you, you are brilliant. You have a very sharp, brilliant mind, wonderful thinker. I resonated with you. I have that too. I have my own version
Yeah.
of that. But what happens is that gets overused, and we don't know
Yeah.
how to just be. Okay,
Yeah.
or how to have our emotions and our agency. So we say we have reason chakras, we have will chakras, which are in the back of our body, and
Mm.
our root chakra is also a will chakra, and then we have emotional chakras here, and these are all consciousness. We need reason, we need will, we need emotion. And so there's different techniques that you can learn to balance that, and it takes
Mm.
practice.
Yeah.
And so, like, as a healer, my training is to help you balance that. When you get off the table, you'll feel much more like still and at peace. You don't lose your mind or give that up, but there's a trusting in more of yourself. There's a trusting in that. But yeah, a lot of it's working on authority issues. What
Interesting.
am I actually surrendering to? And
Yeah.
and trust as well.
Yeah.
Learning to trust something greater than our normal way of controlling and knowing. Sometimes we control just by knowing, trying to
Yeah.
know and understand. I mean, at least that's what I do. And so you don't want to ever lose your mind. Oh my gosh, or your agency, but like, we get to intend for the highest and learn to trust that. And that actually is what brings the healing. So, like, since this healing experience of the light and that very expanded no other consciousness that I had,
Yeah.
I've been learning how to live that more and more. I still went to healing school, and for 7 years, and then I taught at the Barbara Brennan School for 6 years. And we're going to be doing the Barbara Brennan School here in Minnesota again next year. And the school has several locations, but that's one way to do what I call self inquiry.
Right.
We have to inquire
Interesting.
and get curious, not critical. Not We're not looking for what's wrong, we're not criticizing ourselves. But whoever you're working with, you want to do, or just working with yourself, self inquiry, like, well, why, what is my mind doing for me? There's, it's kind of, we call it a defense. Like, there's something that's your strength, and that helped you when you were
Yeah.
in trouble somehow, or when you didn't feel safe somehow. So we want to just help create safety in the body. We want to help create that sense where you can kind of open more to your feeling sense to
Yeah.
balance the reason and the will. And it's like coming home.
Yeah.
It's like coming home, and being able to let go and trust, but it takes practice and intentional work.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
and yeah, does that help answer in a
Yeah, no,
nutshell
it
a little
does.
bit?
It does. Now
Yeah.
how do you balance sort of this non-desiring, not desiring money and not desiring these things of the world, but at the same time we need money to survive. we need to go out and work and we need to do
Totally.
all these things. So how do you balance that?
Well, that's a what a great question. So it's not about not wanting it. It's
Yeah.
about understanding where it comes from. So so this is what I mean. And I'm working on this still, by the way. Like my personality is working to integrate this. But
Yeah.
yeah, you need money to buy stuff, you know. But you know what? Things can come from anywhere. You know things do come from anywhere. So
Yeah.
it's more like yes, I have this desire, and that desire comes from the divine. It comes from the divine. And why do I want it? Okay, it's because I feel like I'm missing something sometimes, or like, or you need a place to live. Okay,
Right.
like we need a place to live. So that's where that surrender comes in again. You have to get right in yourself. Okay, at least for me, I have to get right in myself and align with the truth that I experienced, that all things come from source, from this divine source, this self. And it knows that I'm desiring this and it will bring it. So I align with that. And that's hard to do when you're
Yeah.
used to being the one who makes everything happen.
Yeah.
But what happens is life will say no.
Yeah.
Life will like that's when you hit the roadblocks, when
Yeah.
you're pushing and wanting, and then life is like, no. And it's not because life wants to deny you, it wants to teach you a deeper way of creating and relating. And so sometimes it has to do with patience.
Yeah.
I mean, like, for the longest time, I wasn't gonna ever own a house. Like, in my
Yeah.
mind, that was too material and it was too binding to the material world. And then suddenly, like during COVID, I had this desire to buy a house.
Yeah.
And but I realized I had a lot of fear around that. I had a lot of fear around like somehow getting bound to the world that way or whatever. Um, but I knew I had to. I was kind of forced to. It's hard to
Yeah.
explain that in a short interview. But long story short, I just said, "All right." I talked to the deeper self. The world is shut down. People are dying. Um, I'm not working, and my whole life is changing.
Yeah.
And now I have to face my big fear of like making a giant purchase in the material world that I'm afraid will make me feel bound here. So I just gave it to the divine. I said, I'm going to do it, but you need to show me. I'm talking relating to it like it's outside of me, but that's
Yeah.
how I do it when I'm in my personality. And I said, I know I have to do this. I just knew it. So I said, well, you show me the way. And I kid you not, an hour later, I get a text from a friend who's like, hey, did you hear about this grant program? I bet since you're not making any money right now, you qualify for it. And
Right.
hey, there's this other blah, blah, blah. Like everything I needed, like literally like started coming
Started
through text
falling.
without me saying anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did, I bought a place and, it's great, but the people and the things that I needed that I'm not going to go into detail about now, but there are a lot of things that I needed to have happen. They all happened, and
Yeah.
and and I got like a really good deal, and I love where I live, and
Everything
it's
fell
all
into
good.
place.
It all fell into place, and it also needed to get remodeled.
Yeah.
There's some things that need to get remodeled, and I've just been like, it's not time yet. I just feel inside myself, it's not time yet. But I would like it to be remodeled, but not because, you have to get right in yourself. I like to say right or get aligned in
Yeah.
yourself. Like, what am I really wanting? It's like, actually, I want to remodel because I love beauty. I love
Yeah.
God in the form of beauty. And if I have people in my house, it's so that they can have
They
beauty
can see
too.
that too. Yeah.
And I'm also aware part of it's my ego sense of self that you know, wants to look good. Like I'm
Yeah.
aware of that too. And I just kind of go, okay, that's there. It's
Yeah.
more like about awareness and then deciding from what part of yourself you're going to choose and make decisions. So you don't renounce the material world. What you renounce is the feeling of separation,
Yeah.
that the divine is in everything. And as long as you really stay tuned with that, like, I don't need money to survive. I need the divine to survive.
Yeah.
And the divine will come as money. And if it doesn't come as money, it'll come as like a person who says, hey, come stay at my house. Like
Right.
that type of thing. Or
Yeah.
someone like I remember when I first started meditating, I was in college, I had no money, and I'm a college student. My
Yeah.
parents, weren't helping me with any. They paid for my college, but they didn't help me with my expenses for my home and my car. So I was waitressing and spending all my money on. I didn't make that much money, so I got in a car accident and I
Oh
needed a
no.
new car.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hit a mail truck. God, I'm so sorry. And I smushed the front of my car. And I just started on the spiritual path. And I remember I went home and I started meditating with my mantra that I was using,
Yeah.
beautiful mantra. And I said, I want to, you know, the teachings say just think the highest thought, give it to the divine. So I'm doing that. I don't know what to do. I'm going to have to get a new car. I don't want to go into debt. Show me the way. And then I put on my waitress uniform and I went to work.
Yeah.
And at work that day, a good friend of mine who I worked with at the restaurant at the time, she was working that day. We usually didn't work together on Tuesdays or whatever day that was, but she picked up a shift and she was there. And she goes, "What happened to your car?" Because I was still driving it. It was drivable, but like
Yeah.
the front was really smashed. It looked really angry. It was just like
Wow, like the
bad,
bumper had
really
like
bad.
the
The bumper
yeah.
was turned up and like the headlights didn't work. You couldn't drive it at night. The turning signal probably wasn't whatever. So I had to get a new car. And this was before Uber. But her name was Nancy. And Nancy goes, "What happened to your car?" And I'm like, "I hit a mail truck." And she goes, "Oh my God, only you would hit a mail truck," and laughing at me. And then she said, "Well, what are you going to do?" And I said, um, I guess I have to get a new car, but I only have $1,000. That's all I had.
Yeah.
And this was in like 1997 or 98,
Yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that.
97, 98. That was
And
a yeah. That was a good
yeah, you
amount
could
to
buy
have
a
a
car for
car.
1,000. That was
Yeah.
a lot. I said, "Well, I only have $1,000. I don't know if I'm going to do like a down payment or if I'm going to like find something." And she goes, "Hey, I still have the Celica." She had a Toyota Celica. I love that car. She goes,
Mhm.
we have our other cars now, but I love that car so much. I couldn't get rid of it. It's just sitting in my garage. And she goes, "Do you want to buy it? I'll sell it to you for $1,000 because
Yeah.
I want to remodel my kitchen and we need about $1,000 for that." And so I
Okay.
went, "Yeah, yeah."
Yeah. Yeah.
So it worked out right in that moment. And then I don't know, like 2 days later, I got a letter in the mail from a relative that I never talked to. It was a very complicated family, but this was someone who was not in our life, was a blood relative, but we didn't even know about him for a long time.
Yeah.
And then we knew about him later, or at least I knew about him later. But he sent me a check for $1,000 out of the blue, like long lost relative, out of the blue, sends me a check in the mail with a little note. "Hi, Caprina. Don't tell anybody. I just wanted to give this to you."
Right.
I'm telling everybody now.
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
um, but that was the divine. This is what I mean. Like the divine, like something in me turned it over,
Yeah.
and then Nancy appeared and the Celica appeared, and I had $1,000. That was my tuition. I was going to spend tuition money
Mm.
on a car. And then this relative sent me
Came and gave you
money.
extra.
And so I
Yeah.
had,
Wow.
I drove the car for like another 3 years or something,
Yeah.
and then I bought another car. But I finished school with that car. But it was, like you're saying, like we need things.
Yeah.
We need things. But the source of that car was the divine.
It was
And
divine.
that's the whole point. The whole point is that, like, the desire and the demands of life come from God, or
Yeah.
come from that deep dimension of oneness. And the fulfillment of it also comes from that same dimension. And we have to start to interact with it. And the way that you do that, you don't have to quiet your mind as much as, if it's hard, you just think, okay, I'm going to call on that dimension. And I don't know how it's going to happen. If I try to tell
Yeah.
it how to
What
do
to do?
things, then I'm tying its hands, because there's
Yeah,
all
that's huge.
possibilities there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's
I don't know. Did
you.
that help answer? Did that help?
Yeah, it did because it sounds like because it's this. I don't know whether I read it, saw it. I just know it said to surrender is to gain control. And like I think about that a lot because in this story that you're saying, it almost sounds like you surrendered your egoic self, right? And then at the same time, the divine took over. But it's like, not that you were controlling the divine because you weren't, but you being you naturally is kind of what got everything that you that you was able to get or whatever. So it's that. And I know for me, I have like an insane ego for real. Like I know I do. I have it's like I literally have a saying where I say like everything begins with E. Like I have like an insane ego and it's like the Erica part of me, like how you said, like the wants to like tell the divine what to do. The Erica part of me wants to tell the divine what to do. It's like I need this, and this is how I need it, and this is how I need you to do it, and this is the like. It's like I want to how I interpret sort of manifestation and all of that is yeah, you believe and you act as if and all that, but then you got to make something happen. That's how I interpret all of that, and I know I have to balance that. It's I really have to let go, essentially, and that's hard for me to do.
It is. But there's freedom. There's
Yeah.
freedom in letting go. And you know what? You can offer. You can surrender. When I say surrender, I'm going to use the word offer. You can offer your ego to the divine too. Say, hey, this is your ego. You made me this way.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly, exactly.
don't separate it. Don't separate anything from the divine. Like
Yeah.
I have, I have. I mean, I thought I was like, mastering desire. That's
Right.
the beginning of like the biggest illusion ever. By the way, like, and then I got hit by one. I literally got overtaken by this huge desire, and I had to control it.
Right.
Which, like,
Right.
and but I had, and the way I controlled it was I had to keep aligning with not my will but thy will.
Yeah.
Like, and I know this is a test for me.
Yeah.
I in my mind, I'm like, I know this is a test that I want to make this thing happen, and I know in my heart of hearts I can't. This is a situation that I knew I couldn't. There was nothing
Mhm.
for me to do.
Yeah.
And so I had to just turn it over. But it doesn't mean that I don't still long for that. I do.
Yeah.
There's like my human part does, and I trust it. I trust that
Yeah.
longing, and
Because that
your
longing is
longing
there
leads
for a
you.
reason. Like that longing
It
is
leads
there.
you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's a difference, Erica. There's a difference between the soul's longings. Like I was telling you about, like my longing to know God was always there. From that time when I
Yeah.
heard those mantras, and that's different than a regular egoic desire. I mean, it is a desire. It is our ego, but that's comes from a really deep soul place, and that's what we're here to follow. Those longings. If we
Yeah.
follow our longings, we will heal and we
Yeah.
will fulfill what our soul's purpose is here. And but it's always twisting and turning. It's always like a labyrinth or a windy river, and we're gonna hit obstacles, we're gonna hit difficulties like you're talking about, and you're gonna start noticing like, I want to make things happen.
Yeah.
And how do I learn to trust and let go, let God? And it's like, yeah, that might be part of what you're here to learn how to
To
do.
go through.
Yeah.
Now, how can people, in
And
terms of, um, when people need you, I guess, like what type of things would they be going through? Like, when can people know, like, okay, like I need to reach out to Caprina for a healing versus maybe I need to take a Tylenol, or is it even worth it to take a Tylenol at this point? You know what I mean? Like,
well, I take Tylenol sometimes. I don't like to separate anything from the divine. You don't have to have a
right?
physical problem, though. I mean, people come to me with all kinds of physical things that are going on, and oftentimes it's because it's energetic.
Yeah.
If you've got something physical going on that you're not getting resolved with Tylenol, or you had a surgery, or you've had conventional medical things going on, but you're still having problems, you should go see it like someone who can help you. And
Yeah.
like I have a lot of training, and I can help a lot of different conditions and a lot of different things. So that's one thing. If you have something physical going on, it's always
Hmm.
helpful to go to a healer if you have something physical going on. But I
Hmm.
do not say go do this instead of medicine. No,
Okay.
I say do this, like we work with your healthcare providers.
Hmm.
I work with the God is in the medicine too. God
Yeah.
is in the Tylenol.
It's in
But that's
everything.
that's sometimes it's in everything, and
Yeah.
sometimes you just need the right thing. Like I was
Yeah.
having some problem with my car. It needed air in the tires. It was,
Yeah.
that was it. So sometimes you just need to like get the inflammation down, and then you're good after an injury or something. But yeah, if you have anything going on physical, it's really good to work with a Brennan graduate. I'm a graduate of the Brennan School of Healing and an advanced practitioner. But there's other types of energy healing. But you want somebody who's doing their own work. If you go to any healer, you want someone who um, knows that all healing comes from within the client,
Yeah.
and someone who's worked on the thing that you want to heal. So if you go to somebody who has a lot of will, they're not going to be able to help you
Mm,
unless
right.
they've been working on it. If they've
Yeah.
been working on it, able to help you. But there's lots of reasons. You can go to, some people that I work with have something like they're dealing with grief, they're dealing with
Yeah.
loss.
Yeah.
What I've worked with people like, I want to have a baby. My wife died. I had a surgery, and now I have this weird sensation that I can't get rid of after the surgery, and the doctor said I just have to live with it. And those are three presenting complaints. Somebody who feels over responsible. I always feel over responsible. I feel like I have to do all these things, and I feel guilty if I don't do them. And blah. There's all kinds of psychological things. So the type of healing that I practice works on many dimensions, multiple, all of our dimensions, our physical dimension, our emotional, psychological, mental,
Yeah.
relational, and spiritual. And a lot of the work is around that holy surrender to the deeper self. You're not surrendering to anything outside of your true nature.
Yeah.
And there's divine ecstasy and divine mind also in your own being that you can access. And we work with intentionality too. If you're having a hard time creating what you want in your life,
Yeah.
Erica, or if you feel like you're pushing and you want it fast, you want it now, like just how you're operating, if you want to get more aligned
Yeah.
with with like living your purpose and how to do that,
Yeah.
that's one of my specialties. And the,
Okay.
the Barbara Brennan School, yeah, all the graduates know how to work with the Hara dimension, which is the level of intentionality and purpose. And it's not just my purpose, but like the universal purpose as well. Like a violin player in a symphony has their part that they're playing, and they want to play it,
Mm-hmm.
and they learn and they work at it, but it's part of a greater purpose in the
Because it's part of
symphony.
the
It's filling,
orchestra.
it's part of the orchestra. So it's like that. It's like you kind of align with your individual purpose, and your universal purpose. There's you have part of your energy system that we can help you learn to perceive and align. And that's the real surrender, is to really align your purpose, align with your intention and your purpose, and to stay in what we call positive intent, which is when we are non-dual and we don't separate from the divine. That's what I'm talking about. I didn't use energy terms, but there's you can get an energy healing, at least in the bodies of work that I practice, for anything, because it works with all levels of your being. It helps with
Gotcha.
everything.
Now, have you ever had an instance where you couldn't heal or connect with someone? And if so, like, what can people do to prevent that from happening?
Well, I'm not going to even say that I would prevent that from happening. I mean, it's my intention that everyone that comes to me is touched and helped in whatever capacity is mine to do. But I know that there are some people that it's not the right fit. And I have not very often um had, I mean, I can only think of one, to be honest. But so let me just say this, like, just as a over like a blanket statement. If I ever encounter someone that I feel like I don't know what to do, I don't know how, blah blah blah, or I'm really triggered by this person, like if you
Mm-hmm.
have a client who's incredibly triggering for you as a healer, what you do and what we teach is you refer them to someone else.
Okay.
You
Okay.
refer them to someone that has the skills that would help them. And
Okay.
so I think I've only done that once. But this is the interpersonal part of healing, is that as a healer, I it's my job to stay centered and undefended, where I'm in my nature, I'm in my true nature, and I'm not defending myself, or and I'm not defending my wounds, and I'm not projecting my story onto you and who you are and
Yeah.
what you're going to do to me or what you're going to do for me, or my filter that I see the world through, because I've worked on that. I've worked on that for 20 years.
Yeah.
I know, I have a lot. I know my inner territory. I still get surprised sometimes, but a healer's job and a healer's training is to learn to be undefended, to be your essential nature and bring it all the way through your personality and your body. And that's a unique expression of the divine. And if I'm too reactive with a client, if I'm too reactive and I can't kind of bring myself back, I mean, we're going to have reactions, but just if I can't, if it's too triggering for me, there's something about them that's too familiar to the wounds that I have, that I'm
Yeah.
still healing and working on, then out of integrity, I wouldn't say that to them, but I would say, I don't think I am the right person for you to work with, but I'm going to give you three names,
Yeah.
and I will give them like names of people that I think
That
will
can
help you,
help.
and then I will call those people and let them know I'm referring. So
Gotcha.
that's just professional practice. But personally, I that's only happened once in
Okay.
my I've been doing this for almost 20 years.
And what can people do, I
Yeah.
guess, before they come to a healing with you? Like, is there anything that people need to prepare themselves for before coming to
Well, we
like
want you to be
a session?
sober. You
Okay.
Yeah, well, you want to be sober before you come. I mean, I know a lot of people are experimenting, with um, different types of, using marijuana, alcohol, but then other like psilocybin and other things that people are using. When you come for a healing, um, I want you to come without having used for 24
Yeah.
hours if you can. If you can't come, it's okay. But the main thing that's kind of like on the physical level, like, don't come taking other substances that are um, they cloud your field. Not always, but they can. I'm not against them, but when I work with you, I want to like work with you, not like the other
Yeah.
things that are impacting you.
Yeah.
um but the main thing is to really um have your intention. I think that's all you really need. Have an
Yeah.
intention for healing, for the highest healing. And
Yeah.
and sometimes it's deeper. Healing isn't always curing. When you said, like, is there anybody you couldn't help?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Because yeah, some people who weren't cured, but healing isn't curing. Although that happened in my case, the disease did not manifest. It's been 26 years
But that was
and
your
it's not
intention though,
there.
right?
That was my intention.
Yeah.
And the worst thing, which was that diagnosis, became the best thing in my life because it put me in the path of
Irony.
healing and the work. Yeah, that's right. And that's actually, so when you said, like, who comes to you, that's
Yeah.
kind of the theme with most
Hmm.
people, not everybody, but with some of my clients. They're going through the worst thing, the thing that they never wanted to face, the thing that they never wanted to go through. And you know what? There are profound gifts in that.
Yeah.
There's a
Well, how can
purpose
people
in that too. And I know that territory. Yeah.
how can people sort of integrate energy healing in their everyday life?
Well, there's different practices that you can do. You can learn to open your chakras. I mean, basically, you can learn how to balance your energy field,
Mm-hmm.
and do your personal process, because energy is consciousness. So, what
Yeah.
is consciousness? Our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, our relationships, our intentions. And so, I would say keep doing self inquiry and um, your process work. If you're not an emotional person, learn how to connect with your emotions. That will help your
Yeah.
whole energy system. You can open your chakras. You can align your Hara line. You can balance all the different levels of your field. We call it self regulation. So there's all kinds of energetic self regulation techniques that I can teach you. They're in Barbara Brennan's books. Some of them are in her books as well, that teach you how to do it. Meditation, breathing, exercise, meeting. Okay, this is the truth. Learning your needs and meeting them and following your longing will will be the thing that opens your energy field, and working on um, your defenses, your energy defenses, which are basically our imbalanced homeostasis, like our normal way of being that's still defending our wounds. So doing a deep dive into your history, the wounds that you carry, and how you protect them. That's what we do at the Barbara Brennan School. Because when you stop defending and protecting your wounds and actually open, like, move towards them, feel them, understand where they come from, understand how we're still carrying the belief system formed from them that's not true, then we can shift how we are in the world and live from a more true belief of who we are, and connect to our power and connect to our light. And that is the consciousness of a healthy energy field. So you can do exercises to balance it, and you can do personal process to balance it. But the point is to let that light of divinity that is ourself express more freely and face any fear that we have around that expression.
Love that.
Yeah.
Now, how can people? I'm gonna have everything, of course, in the description. But tell the people how they can reach you. I know CaprinaBrown.com. Like if they want to book you, if they need a session, how can people get in contact?
Well, you can email me, Caprina Brown, and then the number 21 at gmail.com. And Caprina is CAP as in Paul, RINA, Brown like the color. You can just email me and we can set up a time.
Okay.
You can go to my website, CaprinaBrown.com, and that will talk about what I do. But I don't have a calendar on my website. I want to talk to you, or at least have a connection through email and
Yeah.
hear a little bit about what you need, and then we can talk about availability. I work Monday through Friday. I do some evenings. I do daytime. Um, So yeah, email is the best way to get a hold of me.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Cabrina. I'm glad we finally got to have this, and I know my audience will learn something because I know I've learned something as I always do. These things sometimes feel like they're more for me in my journey sometimes than anything else sometimes. So I definitely appreciate you. Of course, make sure you all follow Vision Rebirth on all social platforms. Vision Rebirth. Make sure you can follow me, the_real E, on all social platforms. And thank you so much again, Cabrina. Any last words?
Just thank you, Erica. You are a light. Thank you for having the courage to do this podcast. It takes guts to
For
do it.
sure.
And I love that about you.
For sure. Well, I appreciate you too. Again, this is Vision Rebirth. My name is E. And come.